with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great joy to be here today. And if you're here for the first time, I'm so glad that you found us. We offer a live Monday morning Growing Edge Live broadcast every Monday. And welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And for those of you that join us on a regular basis, you might notice that I'm here with a different background. And that's because I am at Unity Village in Missouri, Lee's Summit, Missouri, the beautiful campus of Unity Village, and Unity Worldwide headquarters is here. And this place is magical. And I'm here in this beautiful home. And this was Charles and Myrtle Fillmore's residence, and it's named the Arches because there's arches in the front around the patio that they used to sit on and take in the natural splendor of this amazing part of the world and give talks and gather and meet with others. So it's my first time in this cottage, and it's really special. And I have a different producer than I usually have, Laura Brzezinski, and she's behind the scenes. And so thank you to Laura and New Thought Media Network for producing and hosting Growing Edge Live podcast, and to the thesatyacenter, which is our spiritual community in our home of Northern Utah. And they are our sponsors today. So thank you to both of those beautiful organizations, New Thought Media Network and Satya. And so today I have a very special guest today. And usually, well, last week I had a very special guest, my sister Samantha. And today I've got another family member that will be joining me in just a couple of minutes. But for those of you that are here for the first time, Growing Edge Live, we have conversations here with soul-centered individuals that channel their time, their talent, their energy, their resources, their love, their creativity into doing good work in the world. We're so accustomed to seeing the negative news and the things that are going wrong in the world, especially now during these difficult, chaotic, and divisive times. And so with this podcast, we like to share the good news. And so I love to have deep conversations with people, and that's what we do here. We get to know people. We get to know them at a deep level. People that are authors, teachers, ministers, speakers, creatives, thought leaders, and what they do and why they do it, and how that impacts the world. Because it's my belief that when we are doing the work we love, when we are offering that out to the world and sharing that with the world, that makes a difference. That consciousness of doing good work in the world ripples out and affects everything and everyone. And being here at Unity Village is a big reminder of how we are all connected. We're all interrelated and interdependent, and all of us are having an impact on not only those around us, but the greater human family and our planet. And so our offering here with Growing Edge Live is a way of acknowledging that and working with the principles that I know that when we focus on the good, when we focus on what's of value to us and we share that with the world, then we bring something positive wherever we go. And I'm here at Unity Village because I'm attending the ANTN annual retreat. ANTN stands for the Affiliated New Thought Network, and we've been meeting here for several years. Can't remember how many exactly, but I've been a member here of Anton for, over 25 years. And it is a beautiful spiritual family. It's a beautiful organization that does really great work in the world, supporting ministers and ministries and individuals on their spiritual path. And so every year we get together here at Unity Village for the last several, and we have amazing speakers, workshops, experiences here on Unity campus. We walk the labyrinth. We get to meditate. We get to do body work, energy work. We get to socialize, eat good food, and learn and grow and connect. And so if you're close by, we have an open house here. I believe you'll have to go to the website. It's antn.org, and you can find out about it. But it's an open house, and everyone's welcome. And I believe it's Tuesday night, but you'll have to check and make sure of that. And we can have live music and inspiration, and I'd love to see you here. And if you do come and say hi to me, Alice and Benjamin. Anyway, all of those wonderful details out of the way, let's get to meet my guest this week. And it is my beloved husband, Michael Benjamin. And we chose a topic, and the name of it is, I have to read, Love Leads the Way. There we go, Love Leads the Way. And there's Michael and I. And we are so thrilled to be here today to share some of our core values that have allowed us to stay connected for 28 years now. We've been married for 28 years. I can't believe it. And to really bring the things that are important to us out into the world, the things that we love out into the world. We've always had this mantra, love leads the way, central to our lives. And so, Michael, welcome to Growing Edge Live.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be back, and we'll see what comes forward today as we discuss and talk about our, values and as you indicated, Ali, the time is now, right? It's never more important than today with all the, challenges, that we face every day when we step into, the world of our doings, right? There's tons of opportunity to go, oh my God, do you see this? And oh my God, that, and, much of which we're, the ego, that aspect of us is not happy with. And so, yeah, I think it's time to step up and step in and be above the line as much as possible.
Exactly. So why don't you share a little bit about you, your background, and what you do, and your spiritual journey? What's that been like?
Well, yes, thank you. So 30 years, 30 years ago, I answered the call, right? And what that sounded like for me was I was unhappy, I was a bit miserable, I was frustrated with my, disposition in life. And, that little angel said to me, well, maybe you want to come to this meditation circle. And so I went to the meditation circle, and then I went to a Sunday service at the, Bear Valley Center for Spiritual Enrichment in Big Bear Lake, California. And the minister, Dr. Warren Chester, said, on Tuesday night, I'm going to have an ad hoc reading and discussion group. Come one, come all. It's going to be fun. And I just made a note that I heard that call, and I attended it. And that began my journey into the deeper inquiry into who I am. And ultimately, for the last 30 years, I have been, in the front row usually. And it's spiritual centers all over the West, and I've been a mental science practitioner for decades, and moved into ministry and got my master's degree in consciousness studies. But ultimately, I'm sort of like, the one that also, has a daily business that I do to make a living, in sales and marketing and stuff like that. And so I guess if I had to deduce it down to this, kind of like Gandhi, I'm the one that's being the change I wish to see in the world, and I bring it everywhere I grow. I bring it to every household I sit with, every meeting I have with partners, with colleagues, with consumers that are sitting on the other side of the table. I commonly hear, "Wow, I've never really sat with anybody like you before. There's something unique about you," and it's what I would have to say is they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel honored, they feel valued.
That is so true about you. It's really lovely to hear you share your story, and I know that sitting with you, whether it's a client or a business client or a spiritual client, someone that you're sitting with to do prayer or meditation, or be a hospice chaplain, which you were for a long time. I know that whoever's in front of you feels seen and valued and heard. It's something that you are so natural at. And as I mentioned, I'm here at the Anton retreat, and usually we're together here at the retreat for the last 20 years or so. We've been attending, and you're not here with me this time, and that saddens me, but I know it's you had work to do, and I want you to know that so many people have asked me where you are and why you're not here, and that they'll miss you, because yes, we're a couple. You're more of the extrovert and I'm more of the introvert. And I think when we're together, I sort of fade into the background, because it's easier for my introverted self just to let you be the lead. And everyone misses that kind and positive energy and you're so helpful and so generous, and people really do feel seen and valued and heard when they're with you, and people are missing you, Michael. So
thank you, and my love to everybody at Anton this week. And I've assumed a new role, and it's not, it's so fresh, 3 weeks new now, and so it's just not a great week for me to take off. I had the plane ticket purchased, I was ready to roll, and at the last minute, I had to give myself permission to park that ticket.
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed in your story when you were sharing how you first came to New Thoughts or Science of Mind, you discussed Dr. Warren Chester, who was the minister at the church that we met at. And that group that you attended that night for the first time is when we met.
Yes.
Time. So Michael and I actually met at a Science of Mind study group. And so it's always been central to our life. It's been very important to us, studying metaphysics, studying New Thought, Science of Mind, and spirituality in general. And we met. What was it?
You wouldn't even look at me.
I know, it was 30 years ago, and I was with my 3 children, because Dr. Warren had also called me that day and said, "Come on out to this group, it's going to be fun." And I said, "Well, I have my children with me." And he said, "Bring them, they can watch television in my bedroom, and we'll meet in the living room." And there you were, you showed up, and I'd never seen you before. But you know how it is in a small town. We lived in Big Bear Lake, California. And when there's a newcomer to the community, you pay attention. And I was friends with your mother, Carolyn, for years before we met. And I had remembered Carolyn said that she was going on vacation and her son was coming to watch her house. And so I knew who you were, and I didn't look at you intentionally because I was all business. I was a young single mother, and I didn't have time for young single men. So
Yeah.
you
Wow.
definitely drew my attention. And I did give you a few glances over, watching you when you weren't looking at me. So I saw you.
It was a lot of fun. I love our life, and I love, it's been special, answering that call to go to the metaphysical discussion group, and at Dr. Warren's. Well, there was so much more there for me than just continuing on my awakening journey. But, it was accelerated because you had had a decade longer and that you were absolutely committed to your path. And so for me, it was not only the opportunity to meet my beloved and become family, but it was also, you and I have been meditating and praying and reading and talking and discussing and rehashing and goal setting and visioning and dreaming and holding each other to from the upper room and that practitioner heart. And I my heart goes out to those whose beloveds do not join circle, and we've seen that for years at our center where she comes and he doesn't usually. And it's always like reaffirming for me how full my life is, that you speak the same language and that we have a common understanding of the material that we're studying now.
Yeah.
And it's a constancy for us, right? Like there's no time off. We don't take time off from this. We choose to check in with this every day, and that's one of our values, is to connect and to be aware and to have awareness, right? And to have a common understanding of where I'm at and where you're at. And life isn't always easy. We've had capital challenges in our life. We've had extraordinary circumstances. And I really think that, we met for a reason to grow through those. And I think, we've thrived through them because of our practice, because of who we are.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I thought it would be interesting today for you and I to share some, and I said three, choose three things that we value each, and to share those so that people can get an idea of how this couple move through the world and how we organize our life based around these values. And like you said, we are constantly checking in and discussing and praying and meditating and reading books together, and always keeping our thoughts above the line, so to speak, and living in principle, which is so important to each of us. So what do you have some values identified? And if so, why don't you go first and share what your value is? What's your first value you'd like to talk about?
Feeling connected. I mean, for one, I mean, I've kind of identified and honed it over the years. But for me, like my core tenet is to feel connected. And then you would ask, well, okay, so what do you want to feel connected to, Michael? Right? And it's not, yes, it's you, and yes, it's my daughter and my family and my colleagues and so on and so forth. But it's even before that, right? So before that comes my connection to the isness, right? The spiritual presence that unifies all life, right? That spiritual living, evolving presence that I am presence. And so, value number one is I do it before I get out of bed. And I do it every day before I get out of bed. I do it before coffee. I do it before I usually, go to the bathroom, relieve myself, get back in bed. Well, that's not true. I usually get a coffee too, right? So I go get coffee, bring it up, get back in bed. And then I literally go through a process, which I have you most days with me, and we do it together. But, it's from that connection, from that connectedness and the awareness of that connectedness that I like to evolve in my day.
Mm. Well, it's not coincidental that my first value is source or God. I too feel that that's so central to just about everything in my life, is having that connection, establishing that connection consciously. And like you mentioned, we get up very early and we sit together and we meditate together, and then we usually pull a card, animal medicine card, and we say our statements, our mantras, our soul purpose mantras together. And we did that just before we came online here. And all of those things are a way of having God, having source central to our experience. It's a connecting. I think there's a particular prayer that we do, a spiritual mind treatment, which is a 5-step process where we go through these 5 stages of recognition, unification, realization, thanksgiving, and release. And as I think of it right now, this morning time that we're talking about is our recognition and our unification. And we're recognizing that there's only one thing happening. It's this thing called God. It's this thing called life. And when we connect in that, when we consciously take time to honor that presence, like you said, we've chosen the same thing as our number one value. As we consciously connect with this mystical, magical, something greater than we are as individuals, it is so it's so natural now. For 40 years for me of having this sort of awareness. Well, it's been longer than that. I think that this all goes back for me all the way back until I was 5 years old, when I had my first mystical experience of oneness, a deep, profound unity moment. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. And at that moment, when I was just a little one, I had such a complete, full body, sensory experience of God, feeling one with everything, that has stayed so much alive in me. It's influenced and colored my entire life. I've always known that there's something more, that this life that we're actually living in, this phenomenal world, is such a small part of what's really going on, is such a small part of who I am and who each person is. Like, yes, we're physically focused in these human bodies, but we're really so much more than that. And thank goodness we can't remember all that so much more while we're here physically focused in this Allison body, in this Michael body. But I think that for us, as a couple, for us to have this same intense feeling of God being central to our life, and us spending time every day aware of that, and to discuss it, and to feel that larger than life presence, is, I think that we could probably end the talk now and this discussion now, because that really is so important to both of us and colors just about everything we've done. Because the title of this discussion is Love Leads the Way. And I think of the word love as, I could use that word instead of God. It's love.
Beauty.
It is. Yeah. As our teacher, Michael Beckwith, refers to God as love, beauty.
Yeah, just the awareness of the growing and evolving collective consciousness, the I am presencing presence. Just the awareness of that. If there was nothing else that I was able to do that day, or nothing else that, if you're listening to this, if there was nothing else that you knew to do beyond that, just realizing that you're a growing presence into this day, and that life is growing. You could insert the word evolving, growing, and that everything that comes up through the day, throughout this day, is part of that collective, is part of that reality.
Yeah.
And of course, we can have a lot of conversations about all the different aspects of the mind and all that kind of stuff. But to keep it simple right now, life is for you. Life is for me. Life is for you, Allie. Life is for all of us. And the growing edge of life, that which shows up today, is ours to learn, ours to experience. And having the awareness that we've been talking about as a first awareness, as a first, call it step, affords me the ability to grow through it.
Yeah. I think it is, this life journey with God being central, and our feeling of unity and oneness, having that as our primary value, affords us grace. Because everything that we experience, and you mentioned it at the beginning, we've had some really big struggles and challenges and losses and traumas. And knowing that we can always connect in this truth, that there's only one, and we're individualized aspects of that one. We can sit here or stand here or be here at the growing edge of our own becoming, our own evolutionary edge, and realize that everything that we encounter, be it a challenge, be it a great success, be it something really fun and joyful, or terribly sad, it's for us. And it's not so much to be judged or denied or pushed away or avoided. It's to be leaned into. And I think that's something that we do when we have God at the center of our lives. We're able to lean in, we're able to be above the line, and to handle whatever it is that comes our way with and with each other. That's an even bigger blessing to have. Like you said, a lot of people don't have a partner, a spouse that is as into conscious evolution or their spiritual life as we are. And so to have that as a couple is really, really helpful. You know, it is half past the
No
hour.
way.
Yep. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back, and we'll share our other two values.
Okay.
Well, hello there. This is Dr. Sydney Steen. I am the senior minister and spiritual leader of the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. We are a oneness center for spiritual living. And I just want to invite you to something that I think is really, really special. In October, from the 6th to the 10th, at Unity Village in Lee Summit, Missouri, the affiliated New Thought Network will be hosting the most wonderful retreat. This will serve your soul. It will lift your heart. And oh my goodness, I want to call it an advance. So come hear wonderful speakers like Martha Creek, Sonny Cantrell, and the music will be off the hook with Ricky Byers. There will be so much there to support your soul. I hope that you will join us. You can go to antn.org. That's antn.org. You can get all the information. You can sign up. You can use a credit card, and it is safe and secure, and I hope to see you there. Have a blessed day.
And we're back. Welcome back, Michael.
Wow, that commercial just sort of gave me a hit on what it is that I'm going to be missing, which, you know, I'll experience it through you. And
yeah, that was Dr. Sydney Steen, and I actually had dinner with her last night. And the title of this retreat is Deep Within. And I'm really feeling that. I think I always say this, this year's retreat can't be as good as, you know, the ones in the past. And it always seems like it anyway. It always seems like I'm learning something new. I'm going deeper than I've ever gone. And that's how I feel. And I haven't even been here for a full day yet. And so, yes, we'll miss you going deep within. Yeah. And if you are in this area and you'd like to come check out Unity Village and the affiliated New Thought Network, go to our website, antn.org, and you can find out all the details. And you can come and meet us for a wonderful open house.
Yeah, and if you're in the area, I'm sure you can get a day pass. If you don't have time to be at the whole retreat, it's a worthy endeavor.
Absolutely.
So moving along.
Yeah, what's your next value?
Congruence. So there's been a lot of levels in awareness, right? So, you know, as I've grown, you know, in the beginning, I was like, manifesting, I'm going to manifest, you know, this or that. I'm going to, you know, I'm a powerful creator and all this stuff, right?
You are, by the way.
Yes, and we all are, right? And by the way, these principles, these teachings is not optional. So you can try and live consciously unaware of this if you want. Go back to sheeple, right? But there's a reality to this experience, and that is my connection to the all-providing activity of life itself is not optional. So I find tremendous value in being aware of it, right? That's step one. Step two, congruence. So, you know, we have preferences as to what we want to experience as my professional, you know, showing up in the world, and, you know, for my occupational things, for my family things, for my physical fitness, my physique, how I show up in the world. And the key word that I've learned several years ago, a deep and profound connection to, is the word congruence. And this is where we live consistently. My human footsteps, my mind, my spiritual is firing always. That's not optional. But my human footsteps is, and how I feel about things and what I think about things as they show up throughout the day, as the phone rings and I take a call and this and that and all of this and that of the day, right? The key for me that returning back to center is calling myself into above the line to be in the upper room, so to speak, in the creative process, knowing that I'm building consciousness. Building consciousness is not optional. The question is, what consciousness are you building? What are you growing, right? Consciousness growing, right? And so congruence. So the value is, what am I congruent with right now, right? How am I eating? Am I eating consistent with how I want to feel, right? Is my daily footsteps consistent with how I want to feel? Are the telephone calls that I'm making consistent with what I want to see grow in my world? How do I feel about the media that's being broadcast at me? Is that consistent with how I want to feel? And knowing that growing is the reality of our existence is not optional. So being congruent with that which we state our intention to be for our life, my life, your life, our life, right? So being congruent.
Yeah, that's a great one. I didn't choose that one, so we didn't get to the same. For me, congruence, and I see this for us, that we do practice this, that our thoughts, that our words, our actions, and our emotions are in alignment with what it is that we love. Again, we know what's important to us, and that's what I'm calling what we love. And so our footsteps throughout the day, I mean, we wake up and have a green drink, a green smoothie every day. I'm missing my green smoothie.
I think that this is consistent with probably your core value, right? So where you're growing right now?
Well, I had changed my values, so you don't know what they are, because I did have health, but I knew that you were going to be talking about this. But yeah, I make a green smoothie for us every morning. You go to the gym every morning practically, and I take a walk every morning, 3+ miles. And I'm mindful about what I eat. I know you are. We do cheat occasionally and have an ice cream, but for the most part, pizza. For the most part, we're vegetarian, we eat healthy, we think healthy, and we make sure that we check in with ourselves. Is this action I'm going to take? Is this choice I'm going to make? Does this align with my core values, our core values, being positive, being a positive influence in the world? And if it's not, if it's going to cause some pain or damage or something unconscious, then usually you and I, we don't do that.
Well, and we know
there's been things that we've cut out, like eating meat and drinking alcohol, are things that were out of congruence with who we are and who we want to be.
Yeah, and we know that, just to if I didn't say this already, the building of consciousness is not optional. So but we can become consciously aware on that which we are programming into the field. And we do not live in a chance universe, right? So the things that are showing up for me, for you, for us, like you being in Anton today and me being here at the office today, like this is not by chance, right? So, and congruence is powerful for me.
Awesome. Well, my second one is nature. I thought back over the whole course of my 60+ years, and something that is so valuable to me is being outside, being in nature. It really feeds me. I feel, we've talked about oneness and interconnectedness and interrelatedness. I've always felt a deep affinity with the natural world. I don't see the world as being me and then everything else. I feel like I am connected to the trees. I'm connected to the plants. I'm connected to the sky. I feel like, well, we know this to be true, that when we break down what we're made of to the very smallest quantum material, that we're all made of the same stuff. And that's what nature reminds me of, that we're all part of this beautiful natural world that has manifested, that has grown, that has become this beautiful life that we're experiencing. We're all connected in some way. And so when I'm walking, and I walked this morning on the nature trail here at Unity Village, and I saw a deer. Yesterday I saw bobcats. I've seen a copperhead snake and a tortoise here on this trail. And every time I come across a creature, I feel like that's got a message or some medicine for me. I don't overlook the natural world. I see the natural world as being information for me, being energy for me. And so it's so inspiring for me to consider the natural world, to connect with the natural world, to pray. I acknowledge the air, the water, the earth, the sunlight, the fire. All of these elements make up who we are. And for me, being awake as a sentient being, feeling so much gratitude almost was my core value, by the way, but I thought I'd wrap it into everything. I feel so much gratitude for being alive, for being connected, for reading the signs and establishing connection and meaning with the natural world is so much a part of who I am, that alongside God, which it's all one anyway, those are my first two core values.
Well, there's no surprise there. You paint it. Nobody paints it better.
That's my next value, so don't talk about that yet.
Okay.
Okay,
What's
your next
for 30
value?
years, you've been painting nature into reality, and so I'm sorry, I was just thinking about something else. I didn't realize how fast we were going to go to the next value. Okay, so my next value is let me grab my notes and just make sure, because I could go any number of ways with it, but I want to just reflect here. So so having said what I said, set the stage for the fact that when I say my core value is to realize unlimited potential, I'm not speaking from that standpoint of where I was 25 years ago when I was like, I've got to make this happen. Like I'm a powerful manifester, and all that is true. But realizing unlimited potential affords me the opportunity to slow down, to allow, and to experience where it's growing now. Like you and I have always said, the how is not up to me, but the what is. And this is where we sort of choose our, from above the line, from the upper room, we get to build the consciousness around building our home. We get to build the consciousness around planning a European vacation. We get to build the consciousness around a new role that I'm going to accept for a particular organization, for whatever, right? But the how portion is where I get to sort of surrender into the all-providing activity of the unlimited potential, which is the nature of this divine life that's living me into existence. And this affords me confidence, like a quiet confidence. Like I don't freak out. Like the day of freaking out has long since left, right? And the reason for that is because I get to have a particular confidence in the unlimited potential of the universe and how it shows up. And it's always shown up. There's never been a day that it hasn't shown up.
Beautiful. So unlimited potential, that's your core value. All right. Well, my final core value well, my list, by the way, could go on and
Oh
on and
my
on,
God.
because these core values are things that we're valuing right now. Like if you had asked me this question last week or last year or last decade, it might have been different, but it may not have. And all of these things that we're sharing are alive in the moment, and they're things that we love. We allow these core values to lead the way, to be central as we lean in, as we show up in our daily lives. And so my core value is creativity. I'm a very creative person. I'm always creating something, whether it's, with my hands, I'm actually making something, or I'm creating something in my mind. I'm thinking of some new offering. I lead groups, spiritual groups. And so I'm constantly creating themes or ideas or exercises for my students. So that's something that I see as creativity, and how it sort of is central in my daily experience. And I'm a painter artist, so I'm constantly taking in the world as ideas of what I might paint. And I love taking my iPhone with me everywhere I go because I snap pictures. I just looked, I have 27,000+ photographs on my phone, and I'm always taking photographs of flowers or leaves or animals because I love to paint them and I love to create art. This is so central to my life. It's really the work I do in the world. Aside being a minister and a podcaster, I'm an artist that produces art, and currently I'm working on a book. And I'm so excited. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to have my co-author with me, and we're going to share about this book. At the moment, I am painting daily to incorporate plants, images of plants, mandalas, goddesses, as a physical representation, a visual representation of prayer, I use my art and sell my art and share my art for people to have a deeper experience with their life, with themselves. So my mandalas are, as I said, physical, visual representations of prayer, or as a focal point to take one into deeper meditation. And so all of these things that I've shared, my spirituality, nature, and creativity, are all wrapped up in this thing I do with my time. You talk about congruence, and I can see that my art is a natural part of the way I express myself in terms of congruence. It's what I'm thinking about. It's a creative way of bringing my, let's say, God self or higher self into the world in a physical way. And it's something that I teach workshops, art and soul workshops, where I have my students come and paint and create something of value and meaning for themselves so that they can hang it on the wall or put it on their altar. And so it gives them a sense of feeling connected to their creativity. And so I see creativity as a doorway to go deeper into the spiritual life, the spiritual side of things. And so all of these values, and I encourage all of you that are watching this to find what your values are, and then organize your life, your activities around what you value most. And this is what I love to do in couples counseling, is I have my clients identify their top values, their core values, and then over the course of time in our sessions together, we work as individuals, and then I bring the couples together, and they have a chance to share their core values with one another, and not just share the word or the value, but share how they realize or actualize or experience that value within their relationship. And so, Michael, that's my question for you, is how do you experience your core values, or the core values that we've discussed here today? How do you actualize them or experience them in your world and within your relationships? And how do those values then go out and have an impact on the world?
Well, okay, and I'll answer that. I also need to insert willingness, okay? Because willingness is kind of like the overarching theme right now for me. And so, how do I do it? We've talked a lot about that, right? So, it's pretty systematized for us, right? When we get up and I speak it into being, through meditation, through prayer, through mental work, through coming into alignment with the awareness of the I am presence that's living me into being. And I evoke in myself that awareness, right? And several times a day, I call myself back into that awareness, because, life has a way of, if you're not consciously aware, then we become unconsciously aware, and we could get sidetracked with a whole bunch of tangents that we don't want, because it's not congruent with, where I want to grow and how I want to grow. So how does it show up in the world for me? The absence of judgment, right? And that's not to say that I don't have a preference. Politically, I do. Won't go into that conversation today and all that kind of stuff. But, I do have a preference, right? But I oftentimes sit with one of the great mysteries of my journey in sitting with people throughout the day, commonly 2, 3, 4 different people every day, is that I see this buffet of how life shows up. And what I hope people feel is accepted and honored, regardless of who they are: purple, white, black, green, gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, MAGA, whatever it is, right? I hope, and I believe they do, because I commonly am met with, peaceful exchanges. And I oftentimes get to the yes, let's sign the contract, right? And so with that being said, that to me is feedback, right? And the feedback that I'm able to see is that people love me back. And the way that is usually, you don't get that what you don't give. And so, so how does it work for me is I'm just a breathing emissary of love and acceptance, I've sit in some pretty interesting meeting places, and I have the ability to do it for long periods of time. And, I think people feel loved. And so that's what I hope. And I think that's true. And that regardless of where I go, I want people to feel loved.
So what gets in the way? Do you ever have things that trip you up, and do you go down below the line and you get triggered? Like, what are the things that can really take you off the rails? Because, it's great to give all this positive stuff, but let's personalize it a minute.
Well, so yeah, but the thing is, I'm a mental science practitioner. I live this, right? So absolutely. Usually it shows up as, I'm not liking the people, or I'm not thinking for a moment that I'm not enjoying the company of this person, right? Or I'm not liking what I'm doing, or I'm not liking what I'm experiencing. But either way, the feedback is that I'm sort of finding myself activated in a way that I'm sort of agitated or have a negative attitude or a negative disposition, or however you want to frame it up, right? But within my own moment, I get to check in with myself and ask myself, is this true? Right? And quickly, as we've done the work, right? Quickly, I can find out it's not true.
Yeah.
Or it is true, or it is true, right? Depending on what the feedback is that I'm working with, because it could very well be me that needs to grow, and it most likely always is. Or it's me that needs to be accepting, or it's me that needs to be willing to understand that this is for me, even though it's not what I want to be experiencing right now. And so, but yeah, I mean, do I ever fall below the line? Yeah, only probably like 17,000 times a day. So, it's like there's this, but there's this constant awareness that I get to shift that, I get to pivot that, and I get to elevate from that, and I get to grow in that higher state of awareness.
Yeah. Same with me. I think because we've been studying mastery, mind mastery, life mastery for so long, that something that's been helpful for me, aside for what you just referenced, the work of Byron Katie, is understanding IFS, internal family systems, understanding that there are different parts of me. There are different parts to all of us. There's parts of my personality that can be very, that can overtake, and I can feel victimized. So-and-so didn't, they ignored me, or so-and-so didn't appreciate me, or, I can come up with a lot of different stories that I can spin if I'm not careful, if I'm not, doing what I need to do to stay above the line, prayer and meditation and walks in nature and being creative and knowing that I want to be a positive, loving influence and presence on the planet. If I don't keep that at front of mind and front of heart, then I can devolve into one of these more immature parts of me that feels abandoned or takes things personally. And so I have to watch that. And the IFS system, internal family systems, helps me to really understand that better. Okay, there is a part of me that feels sad or angry or judgmental right now, but that's not really who I am. It's a part, and I can love that part back into wholeness. So I think that has been extremely helpful, and understanding that through my studies of the Enneagram, understanding these different personality parts, that there's this essential self, and then there's this personality that can get all riled up sometime. I'm looking at the time and I see we're right at the end, and I want to just take a moment, Michael, to ask you, do you have any, before we say goodbye, do you have any big idea or message you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah. So look into another's eye. Like when I find that I'm in that place of separatedness, and that judgment and anger and all that stuff could potentially slide in there, okay, I notice that I'm not really honoring the other person's existence. And so how I call myself deep into that awareness is to look into the other person's eye. And when I look into that eye, preferably their left eye, but when I look into that eye, then I begin to see them, or life through them, looking back at me, and everything shifts.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, my love. I will talk to you a little later on. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you to New Thought Media Network for being our beautiful production, and StreamYard, this platform here, and to the Satya Center. And if you ever want to get a hold of us, Michael or me, or our practitioners at Satya, you can do it, growingedgelive.com. We love you, we appreciate you, and we thank God for you. Mwah. Peace and blessings.
Love you all. See you
next week.
Laura. Take care. Have fun, everybody. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Free my mind, open my heart. with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge.